Hello, everyone. Welcome to Empowered Human with Nina Garcia. This is a special bonus episode for you. I have music therapist Anysia Palmer here with me. Hey, Anysia.
Hey.
And we are going to get to know Anysia, why she's here, what she has to offer, and a little bit about her in our Empowered Human and Houston Creative Arts Therapy world. Are you ready?
Very ready. Let's go.
Okay. So we straight up have these questions out ahead of time, y'all, but anything can happen as we're going through this, right? I'm going to put myself in the space of like, if I were the character who was going to be like your client, right? Like, what would I be asking you? And so, first question,
Mhm.
as I roll the ball on over to you, is this. When you think about who you are as an empowered human, as a human being, what would you tell us about, your individual culture island? What's going on for you? What's important to you? What's present for you? Just rolling the ball on over to you. No wrong answers here.
When I think about myself and the kind of human that I am and the space that I currently occupy, I am first and foremost a Black woman, a Hispanic woman, a person who lives in the most authentic way that I can, that not only empowers myself, but I do my best to empower all those who are around me or who journey with me. I think if I were to boil it down to what lives in my island is love and peace and empowerment and just the desire to walk next to people as we travel this life together. So that's my little island that is not a deserted island. It's a welcoming commune of culture and trust and togetherness.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. This is a visual that you have too of this, the walking along the path, right? Just walking along. And this is just what's here, right? And I'm getting very like calm, cool, collected vibes, right? This energy of love and peace and acceptance and celebration and and
Yes,
welcome.
I would definitely say that's very much me in a nutshell.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So I am over here, just so everyone knows, right? I'm over here in the HCAT office. You are in your home office.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
very nice, right? I've got my cream wall behind me. I've got the, empowered human sign. I've got some vines on the wall. Will you tell us a little bit about your space?
Yes, my space is partially a musical creation space and then a space of zen and peace. I've got my beige wall with my pictures of things that I feel empowered by, and then I've got my musical section over here that is filled with instruments and books and just things that I engage with musically with myself and with clients.
Excellent, excellent. So for everyone out there who's like, what's the space going to be like, right? We'll talk more later about what a session might look like. But for those who are going to be, working with you in person, they'll be here at the HCAT office, right? We've got instruments and art and clay and puppets and sand and all sorts of good stuff. And then for clients who are going to be working with you online, this is the setup they've got, right? Which you just shared with us. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So we move on to the next thing, right? Music therapy. What is music therapy? I'm over here specializing in drama therapy. I know what that is as far as a creative arts therapy goes, but how would you define music therapy?
Mm. So there's a really long explanation, I think, that music therapists often come out with that has all of the clinical jargon. But the way I like to describe music therapy is about a simultaneous engagement between myself, the music therapist, and the person who I journey with that is all about engaging with you to help meet whatever your clinical, emotional, spiritual, physical, or biopsychosocial goals are through the process of musicking together.
Mhm.
So what that looks like is we engage one another as people, as humans, and then we engage with music as people and humans. And as we go through that joint engagement process of how we relate to each other and how we relate to the music itself, it allows us to see our world in a very different way. And so that is, to me, music therapy in a nutshell of two people walking together,
Mhm.
journeying together, and musicking together.
Okay. Journeying together, musicking together, engaging was another word that you used, right? I put
Mhm.
myself in, a potential client's position, right? Like a human being that's going to be like, I want to work with Anicia. And now I'm asking myself, okay, so we're going to be music and we're going to be engaging. What if I am not a musician? What if I'm not right? I have a background in singing, but what if I'm not those things? Like, would I still want to work with you? How can we use music for that?
Yeah, so music therapy doesn't require any form of previous experience with music, just a passion to engage with music, whether it be through listening, through the creation of written or spoken or musical text. So it could be that we're songwriting together, it could be that we're just telling your story. And we do that through adding in these musical elements. And so I like to tell people that whatever your level of comfortable engagement with music is where we can start. So if you're like, I don't really know that I want to sing, okay, let's just talk. I don't really know that I want to play. Okay, let's just listen. So wherever your starting point is where we can begin and take those few little steps together. And as you grow and are understanding where your next level of engagement is, we continue to grow together and, deepen that journey, like we've talked about where we meet ourselves in the music, because music can just be a listening experience, but it can also be I'm going to create in it, and creation doesn't have to have rules. I want
Mm,
to really, really reiterate that my favorite and most passionate people who engage with music are people who have absolutely no musical talent at all, because there's something real and raw and beautiful about that. And so I believe that in the space that we make music together, there is no wrong answer. There's no wrong notes.
mhm.
There's nothing wrong. It is. And that's okay.
There's no wrongs, it just is, and that's okay. Even as you describe this, I notice here, right, you have your physical body engaged as well. And I think about as you describe, you know, how music therapy can be used, even if I'm not a musician, right, or consider myself a musical person, the
Sure.
music between two people, right?
Mhm.
And really broadening the term of what that means. And then also the different roles, like it's not just the musician, there's an ability to listen, right? This co-creative bit that you mentioned. And then there was this image that I had of someone being able to start in one space. That was the line you said, that it brought up this image of like, oh, you mean I can just come into the space and be myself? I can just exist as I am, and you're going to meet me where I'm at. You said meet, right? The music where it's at within that person. It's just such a beautiful image that it brings to mind of, again, that acceptance of where they're at, being able to see them where they're at, and witness their humanity in that moment.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you totally. And I think as a practitioner, one of the things that's most important to me is that and some people call it, unconditional positive regard, right? And I believe that in this space that there is not, like I said, a wrong answer or a wrong person or a way of existing, that we each bring a very unique energy into the relationship together. And that, I think, is the most important thing. Is first we have to figure out where we are, right? And understanding exactly where we're existing in this moment before we can journey towards any other, simultaneous plane or another place or to another feeling. That let's figure out just what we're in and what our body is holding, what our
Mhm.
musical self is holding. And like maybe my music today is just a groan, that's it. And that's all it has to be. It doesn't have to be more than that.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that and diving in a little deeper too.
Mm.
There was something that popped up within me as you were sharing, and I'm going to see if I can dial back into it.
Okay.
There was, as you're talking about this, again, this very much like accepting, meeting this person where this at, that person meeting themselves where they're at. I think so often when we talk about healing, it's like, well, I know something's wrong, so I've got to get to healing, right? I've got to figure out what are the tools I need? What do I have to do to heal?
Mhm.
But a big part of the empowered human process is recognizing that actually, first, it takes courage just to
Mhm.
see yourself as you are where you are.
Mhm.
Courage comes before the healing, the courage to exist, the courage just to acknowledge that things exist as they are. And
Yeah.
you just touched on that. And I just want to thank you for being able to acknowledge that it's not about just jumping in and diving. It's really like, hey, let's just see you as you are. Let's
Mhm.
just meet you where you're at, and
Mhm.
then we'll know what's the best course to move forward for you as a human being. There's nothing cookie cutter about this.
No. And I think that's one of the most important things to recognize about music therapy, or about even the therapeutic process in general, is that there's no one way that we're going to go about creating a session together. That it's, we're going to see what today brings, what this moment brings, what this gathering of our spirits brings, because there's what you bring into the room, what I bring into the room, and then what we create together. And, like you said about the healing, like there's this beautiful song that's really been in my mind and my heart recently. It's by Trevor Hall, and it's called "You Can't Rush Your Healing." And
Mhm.
it's just this idea of, here's where I am,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm in, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And so I really, really do, 100% agree with you on being able to discover just this moment, and to be brave and courageous enough to engage in that moment of who we are and where we are, and understanding that there isn't shame in being in that place, that there's nothing shameful about recognizing what our weaknesses are, or our areas of growth are, or the places that we want to continue to empower ourselves in. That
Mm.
it's, we're here and we can be there, and then when we're ready, we can stretch ourselves to a different place.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you brought in that I think that is a very dominant and yet stereotypical narrative about the healing process is like if you
Mm.
reach out to therapy, then you must be weak or there must be something. And it's just like the reality for me as a human being, yes, as a therapist, but also as a mother, as a Latina, as an American, right? Like all the other identities that I could put in here, it still rings true at the end of the day that some of the most courageous people I have ever met are the
Mhm.
people who have the courage to say, I know that I could use tools to
Yeah.
live my best life. And you know what? The world didn't give them to me yet. And that's why I'm reaching out. Some of the most
Mm.
courageous people I've ever met in my life are the
Mm.
people who show up to therapy.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you for bringing that in. You did touch on something else.
Yeah.
This is like a hot question
Okay.
that I think every creative arts therapist probably gets this question, expressive arts therapist, anything that's not like the mainstream, let's just walk and talk, right? I
Hmm.
think it's this question. And you touched on it. You said there is no one way that a session is going to look like.
Hmm.
Could we play with that? Could I throw in a scene? Like if I were, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Let's say I reach out to you and I'm like, I love what Anysia has to offer. She's working with music therapy. I think that that could be healing and fun for me to be able to explore some of my deeper relational trauma issues or the drama in my life. And so I reach out to you, Anisia, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to choose something that's very common for clients to come to us with, right? Which is, I have a history of trauma. It could be child abuse. It could, right, when I was a kid, right? It could be relational abuse that I've struggled with. It could be I was in the military. It could be any number of things, right? Identity trauma and invalidation, that's a huge one. Any of these things, and I come to you and I say, and so I don't feel like myself, and
Mm.
I don't feel like myself, and I feel like I don't even know where to begin
Sure.
finding myself again. What would you do with me?
Well, I think in terms of, the session, if we're talking about like where it starts, where it ends, how we engage with one another, we're going to have our check-in. And this is where we're going to find out these things where you talk about, hey, I don't really feel like myself right now. And so it's like, all right, now we've got this idea of here's where I currently am. Then we're going to find a way to engage with that, and not a super deep level, but we're going to begin to engage with that feeling, understanding what it is, identifying what it looks like, seeing how that plays out with you musically. And we're going to use several different tools. And again, it's whatever you feel comfortable with in the moment, whether it be, let's engage through songwriting, through creating music together, through listening to music together, or even through a somatic body experience that engages with music.
Mm,
Maybe it's a breathing meditation. Like, I don't feel like myself, so I need grounding in this moment. So
mm,
let's breathe, let's listen, let's do a little vocal toning together.
mm,
And then we're going to deeper engage with those needs that are coming up, of like understanding, okay, here's where I am. Now here's where we can do some of this core work, right? Just
Mm.
like in this beautiful arc that we're going to follow of like, here's how I'm going to engage. And if we want to even go like, a depth arc, instead of this way, up, 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 we're going to go and we're going to dive a little deeper. And then we're going to start to transition out of that and say, okay, here's where I'm going to leave myself today with just this feeling and how I can walk out of here feeling whatever I needed for this moment. Maybe it's to hold whatever was here. Maybe it's to move out even just a tiny little centimeter of where I was in this depth of the arc. And then it's going to be an opportunity to say, okay, this is what I see now. And I have a place where I can go next time. Just following these waves of self of like, all right, here I am. Let's engage together with the space that you're in. Let's deepen that using our musical tools and then
Mhm.
find a way to carry ourselves into a place of readiness for our next session.
I love this, right? So this is what I hear and what I'm reflecting back is there is a very clear drama therapy term, right? Character arc for what
Mm-hmm.
we're going with here, right? Like we have human beings in our care. And so for those of you who are out there thinking Anysia might be the one, right? Do we hear how intentional the session is set up? There's a check-in and warm-up-ish phase, right? Are we clear on what our goal is? Do we know what direction we're going to head, right? Are we on the same page with this? And then what are the tools that can meet this person where they're at, right? This isn't about let me teach you how to do the keyboard when you've never had any interest, right? This is like, no, I'm meeting you where you're at. We might be listening, we might be songwriting, we might be moving, right? But you're going to meet me where I'm at. And I love that you should, and it's going to ground me,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I come in right with the issue that I shared, right, that I don't know where I need some grounding then so that I can get some perspective, right? I'm up in the clouds, it's going to be a little difficult for me to have some perspective, so to speak, right? Or if I feel like I'm underground, right? Or drowning, as the case may be, right? Wherever we're coming from, the reason why most of us come into therapy is because we don't feel grounded, we don't feel centered, we don't feel clear. And
Yeah.
so your process is going to help with that. We're going to do some deeper work, right? There in the center, right? That third sort of part of it. And then like a reflection and closure at the end. It's like, let's make sure that you are leaving session feeling as the word I want to use is like with equilibrium, right?
Yeah.
That you're stable,
Absolutely.
that you're grounded, that you're leaving intentionally, and you know what you're taking with you. And if something's not benefiting you, maybe you're leaving it behind, right? This is therapy. This is the space we hold it for, right? It's created. So thank you for walking through and being willing to take a little curveball because we didn't plan that one ahead, right? But like this is what we do in sessions, right? This is what you will do for your clients is you're ready for the curveballs.
Mm-hmm. I
Mm.
mean, I think it's a beautiful process. Like there is this exercise that I really love to use that, I was thinking of as you were talking about this, is that we as human beings don't always understand what we need because we've never said it out loud.
Mm.
And there's this and it's a musical exercise which I don't have right in front of me, but it's basically being able to sing or speak, whatever your comfort level is,
Mm.
about what you need and how I can be here to support that for you. So it really just looks like a consistent back and forth of I am here and you voice I need and then fill in the blank with whatever that is. And then
Mm.
all I'm going to do is continually respond, I'm here. I'm here.
Mm.
I'm here. Right?
Mhm, mhm. Even as you share that, my own body is like I can feel in my chest that there's a settling down of energy that even I think I'm going to say my breathing has slowed just a little bit,
Mhm.
and resounding line in my head is like validation, valid. I am valid. My needs are valid,
Yeah.
and you're here to validate those.
Mm,
Mm, mm, okay. So, last two questions, right? That we want to explore. Hopefully, people are getting a feel for the flavor of the session with you, right? For your energy as well, right? And the structure of the session. But I
mhm.
do want to ask you directly too, because I think it's beneficial to hear, from the human being that you are. What
Yes.
kind of energy would you say you're bringing to the table, right? I know you already shared, right? We got the love, we got the peace, right? But just if you could say like three main things that you feel like you are bringing to the table, and feel free to add more, right? No wrong way to do it, but just in a nutshell, when we think, yeah, this is the energy, this is the vibe. What is it that you think you really offer your clients and the human beings in your care?
Mm. I think if I had to really engage with it in three simple concepts, I believe that, like a peaceful, calming, just centering type of energy. And those would be like in the one category. And
Mhm.
then I would say the validation, right? That it is, I
Yes.
want to validate the experience that you have because we each engage the world very differently, and that in this moment we are together in it. I can't completely understand where you come from, but what I can do is stand next to you and say, I'm here
Mm.
while you engage with that.
Mhm.
In those 15 minutes that we have, that I'm with you in this journey. And then the third thing that I would say is just to continue to hold just this beautiful container. I feel like that this is a place where you can experience what you need to. And I know I'm a very calming spirit, but there's also an opportunity for there to be like wild, loud engagement, like whatever you need in that moment, we're going to hold it for
Mhm.
you. And so this is me at baseline 100%, that this calming, peaceful energy. And there's also this opportunity for flexibility, that what you need in the moment is what we're going to go for.
I really appreciate you sharing the imagery and being able to carve out the different facets, right? Obviously, for all my human beings listening in out there, there's so much more to Anesia, right, than we could ever touch in this mere 30-minute, episode here. But I'm so grateful for what I've seen, right? This grounded imagery, this validating imagery, right? And this flexibility, this like, yes, this is where I'm at. This is my natural essence. And you know what? I am flexible enough, right? As a trained human therapist instrument here, so to speak, right? I am trained to be able to go to your highs and your lows and your louds and your softs, right? And it literally makes me imagine you as the instrument, right? That the client is able to play with you or play you, right, as is needed, and you're able to respond.
That's such a beautiful image. I've never thought of it that way, but yes, come on,
Mm,
let's
mm. Well, thank you for playing with it with me here.
Yes.
Um, I think the last question that just so that we're extra clear for everyone listening out there, when we think about, okay, I love Anisia's energy. I love that Anisia has structure to these sessions. I love that Anisia is going to accept and celebrate me wherever I'm at in my process, right? And that musicality to some degree is going to be involved, and that I don't have to be, consider myself a musical artist in order to be in this space, this healing, courageous space with Anisia. Is there an ideal client? Is there an ideal human being out there that, you would say, in particular, right? I can work with all human beings, right? But in particular, these are the people who might really vibe well with you. Um,
Mhm.
does that make sense? And I'm happy to throw in, yeah, oh, you got this. Okay.
Yes, no, I believe that that flexibility that I bring allows me to vibe very well with a variety of people. People who know me like to say I've never met a stranger. And so I don't think that there's any interaction that I've ever had that hasn't been where we can't find a place that we can connect. In terms of ideal clients, I think the person who is going to be ready to explore themselves through music. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, any particular level of engagement, but someone who's open, who's willing to say, yes, I'm ready to explore who I am or who I want to be, and how we connect the dots between the you that you are right now and the you that you're looking to become. And that, I believe, is my ideal person. I do think that there is a power and a validity and recognition and understanding that there are people who look like you and come from the background that you come from. So, sister, if you're ready, I'm here for you. I'm ready to hold you in that. And if it's a person who doesn't look like me and who isn't there, and you're just looking for a type of energy that can surround the goals and the love and the journey that you're seeking, just the person who's ready to walk together. I'm here. I'm here to walk side by side with you. That's all I can say is about who I'm looking for, is just whoever's ready to take those steps.
Mhm.
There's no, I don't think there's a one, I would love to say that it's like, oh, here's this person and I got them dialed down to a T. And I think that's the beautiful thing about music is that sometimes we create the most unexpected and beautiful things with a single note. And so if I had to start with a single note, it would just be an openness to explore.
An openness to explore.
Mhm.
People who are out there saying, I have that openness to explore. I have been looking for this warm, grounded, validating, flexible therapist to meet me where I'm at. This is Anysia Palmer, music therapist. Accepting clients, yes.
Yes, we're ready. Come on. Come on. Let's go.
And for those of you who are like, I'm ready, Nina, sign me up. How can I, move on to that next step? Scroll down to the show notes and you will be able to click the offerings that we have and get in a consultation, right? Free consultation call with Anysia. So you can make sure that, right, you're on the same page with here's my goal. Can you meet that, right? If Anysia can meet it, we're going to get you on Anysia's calendar. If Anysia can't meet it, we're going to get you some referrals so that you can still meet that need, right? We're about building bridges here. And so, Anysia, I'm so grateful for your time and your energy and your sharing. I feel so grounded. I came in feeling good, but I feel like it's like I was standing on ground. I was standing on solid ground. I felt solid, but now I feel seated on the ground, like that much more grounded of the earth. Does that make sense, that image?
Mhm. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting your energy come over here a little bit too. And again, for everyone out there, right? This is Anysia. I love to know that we've been talking all year to Anysia, y'all, right? I've been talking to you all year. And I didn't really get to know you until the last month or so, right? And I have found you to be so consistent and such a beautiful soul being, energy to be able to share this space with. I cannot wait to get clients in the room with you. I'm really excited for this.
I'm excited too. I'm so happy to be here.
Is there anything that you feel in this moment you would like to share before we part ways?
Mm. No, I think that I keep playing that song in my head and in my head and my head. And it's just that there's the line that just repeats. It just says, you can't rush your healing. And
You
that's it.
rush your healing.
That darkness has its teaching.
Darkness has its teachings.
That's it.
Hmm. Thank you so much for giving us a little taste too. I know we both got the allergy season going on right now, so I'm
Oh
glad you were courageous and still did
Hey, that's it. You get the raspy, seasoned, flavored voice today.
love it. I love it. Again, right? It's just that meeting yourself where you're at, right?
This is where we are today, and we can honor that. Like I said, there's no wrong notes. It is what it is, and it's okay.
There's no wrong notes. It is what it is, and that's okay.
Mhm.
So much for being with us, Anicia. We will have everything in the show notes as promised. And I'm hoping people reach out soon. I'll see you at the office. Bye for now. Thank you so much for being willing to explore healing your humanity on Empowered Human. I hope you found at least one new way to transform your worldview from powered to empowered. If you took something from the show, please take a moment of your time and subscribe to Empowered Human. And if it really nourished you, leave us a review. Your feedback helps me understand what our community needs. Not to mention, it helps others discover the empowered human life. So keep this last bit in mind. All the visual goodies come with me on Instagram at Drama Therapist Nina. Stay up to date there on upcoming episodes, behind the scenes goodness, and reels dropping knowledge. Thank you again for being part of the empowered human community. Until next time, stay curious.